All right, let's turn our attention to last night's game in Cleveland. The Cavs had an 18-point lead at the start of the fourth quarter, but they did have some trouble putting the Celtics away. Boston pulled to within one 3 times in the final 2 minutes. They did end up falling 124 to 118. So, George, you could kind of look at it either way. Did the Celtics losing that way to the Cavs tell you they're close, or they're not really remotely close?
Yeah, I don't believe they're remotely close. I look at this team, and I think they're really good. I just don't think they're great. And to be a championship contender, which is what Danny Ainge and everybody in Boston wants, you have to be that. They're missing a couple of elements, Byron. I think that they're missing a real wing. Now, maybe Jaylen Brown turns into that guy. Or maybe that Nets pick that they have turns into that guy. They need that, but I also feel like they need a real post presence. They need a rim protector, a guy who can give them easy buckets. That's just not what Al Horford does. Right. So you look at a guy like DeMarcus Cousins, right? Could they trade for him using that Nets pick? Or maybe even a Hassan Whiteside, where maybe you don't have to give up the Nets pick. But someone like that and a wing, and then all of a sudden we can talk about them being a championship team.
Could they trade for anyone is what Celtics fans want to know. They've been waiting on this big trade date he's going to pull off for a couple seasons.
I think they could because they got so many draft picks that they can use in a trade that are very attractive to a lot of teams. But I agree with you, George, is the fact that they are a very good basketball team. And I said this when Al signed with them this offseason, that's a great piece to the puzzle. But he's not a game changer, but he's a great piece to the puzzle. So they've taken another step forward, in the Eastern Conference, which is very slim anyway. There's no team in the Eastern Conference that I look at right now that's going to challenge Cleveland for a championship as far as the Eastern Conference is concerned. But the Boston Celtics and Toronto, those two teams can make it interesting. But still, at the end of the day, Cleveland's still the favorite.
Rachel, they're like a baseball team that has a bunch of 2 and 3 starters.
Right.
They don't have the number one. Right.
Yeah,
like Isaiah Thomas and Al Horford are good players, all-star type players, but they're not a definitive number one guy.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics are now 0-6 against the top 2 teams in either conference. Not there. Rough night for the Raptors the past couple nights, too. So the Cavs, again, distinguishing themselves as the class of the conference. Not that we didn't know that already. Let's talk about the Lakers. LA outscored 31-13 in the third quarter last night. At home to the Mavs, Dallas, not a good basketball team this year, and yet the Lakers did still manage to lose to them. Their 14th loss in the last 16 games. And afterward, Coach Luke Walton said, quote, as a team, we're going to be fun. We're going to figure it out. But when is the question? How much does it mean to us right now to figure it out? Do we want to do it now, or do we want to wait 2 or 3 years? Take a look. The Lakers hold the worst record in the league in the month of December, 2-14. This is after they were 10-10 heading into the month. So, Byron, if you look at Luke's equation here, are we going to figure it out right now, or is it going to take 2 or 3 years? Where are you putting your money?
Well, it's going to take 2 or 3 years. Now, when he said, do we want to wait? We all know LA fans don't want to wait.
Yeah.
And if they wanted to wait, I wouldn't probably be sitting here with you guys. So I'm just saying.
Hey,
so
listen, you're being honest.
Listen, they don't want to wait.
Yeah.
I understand what he's saying, but you're going to have to. Unless they can make a trade or like you said, make that draft pick that can come in right away and be a game changer. They're going to have to wait for these young guys to continue to develop. And they will. They will develop. They'll get better and better. But they are still a year or 2 or 3 away from being a team that can contend in the playoffs.
I'm with Byron. That first month of the season was a little fool's gold there, basically. They dealt with some injuries. Then they had to play 8 and 9 guys for about 2 weeks. And this team isn't built for that. There's a reason those guys weren't set out to play those type of minutes. But what is a real progression here? Isn't 30 wins, shouldn't that be enough for this team? And I still feel like they're on a path for 30 wins potentially. That would be a really good season for them. You're talking about a 13-win improvement.
Well, I mean, I think part of what Lou's talking about is he's just looking for some fight from the individual guys. He said in his post-third quarter and in between the third and fourth quarters last night, he was like, I thought we would fight more than this. And I think that's when he's looking at the individual players, guys like D'Angelo. He wants to see some of that individual growth. What do you expect?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he wants to see. You can't settle in on accepting losing.
Right.
When you lose a game, and we can go back to the 80s and the 90s, like when we lost 2 in a row, it was like the world was coming to an end.
Really?
You got to have that type of intensity every single night. When you lose a game or you lose 2 in a row, 3 in a row, whatever the case may be, you got to come in like it's game 7, the next game. Leave it all out there on the table. And I don't think that's what he's getting right now for the young guys. They're kind of settling in. And I still think they're in that figure it out stage. It's still early in the marriage. They're still trying to figure it all out. But it is going to take some time, so people just have to be patient.
Byron, the reality is this, and Rachel, is that they brought in some veteran guys like Lou Deng and Timothy Mozgov, but they're not the best players on the team. And to change that type of culture, the guys who are the best players on that team have to change that culture.
You need a leader.
Yeah. And patience, apparently.
And patience.
And patience.
Lots of it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Changers shooting. Walker, long three. Trickled off. Kemba.
Don't start dancing. No, baby.
Yeah, I like Kemba Walker so much, but that was unfortunate.
Tony Fiorentino did a nice job there. No dancing, baby.
That was good.
I mean, did you
Don't
give a pass
shimmy.
to Fire?
Nah, man, you don't shimmy unless you know it's in.
You can see it through the...
Wait till it goes in the hole, then you start shimmying.
You were talking to the break about Swaggy P.
Yeah, look, that reminded me of that Nick Young shot back in 2014, right? So Swaggy takes the shot, he throws his hands up like, oh, but at least Byron, you said it.
He turned around and checked to see if it went in.
Right. Oh.
He caught himself. He caught him quickly. Now, Kemba was like, oh, this is all good. I don't have to worry about any of this.
Dedicated. I know myself.
But I will give Kemba more credit because I love the swagger he puts into it. Kind of like Antoine Walker with a little shimmy.
Right.
To me, if you can shimmy like Antoine Walker can shimmy, you deserve some love.
There's a little hip movement there, too.
Yeah. Antoine was
But
the
it
king
went
of the shimmy.
in. It went in. Now
Right,
you can
exactly.
shimmy.
Then you can shimmy.
Yes.
You can get it done.
He was the king of the shimmy.
He was,
Exactly.
man. Antoine was the best at that stuff.
Let's move on to another guy who gets it done, Russell Westbrook. He was ejected in the third quarter last night. Not as much getting it done. It was because he was arguing with the refs over whether the shot clock should have been reset or not. Afterward, he was not happy. Take a listen.
It's just crazy, man, especially for me, because I feel like, I don't get the benefit of that most of the time, especially throughout the game with refs. And I get so many texts just for talking. Just for talking. I can't even say nothing when I'm getting hammered every time I go to the damn basket throughout the games and previous games, not tonight, but every night. And I just don't get refs the same way as other people, and I don't appreciate it.
Now, Westbrook might actually have a point about how he's officiated. He leads the league in technical fouls, which frankly is a remarkable accomplishment in a world that Boogie Cousins also lives in. It is possible he is such an aggressive player. There's a bit too much of a hair trigger in calling these texts on him. And frankly, in general, I think the NBA needs to lighten up on the language texts. I get being respectful to the officials, but we're all grown adults here, right? Including the refs. Enough with these you hurt my feeling technicals. They can handle a stray curse word or two. All that being said, can we go a week here, please, without some big star in the NBA complaining that he doesn't get the calls or does get the calls or isn't getting calls he should be getting? Paul George did it the other day to such a degree he got fined $15,000. Now it's Westbrook who, takes so much contact every time he drives the lane. He probably could get even more calls than he does, but guess what? He already leads the league in free throw attempts per game, so there's an argument to just take the win and move on. And let us move on. On our website today, our Royce Young noted that a year ago, Westbrook said he sat down, he actually watched every tech he got for arguing from the previous season and tried to let it sink in that not once did the officials change their minds. At the time, he said he had resolved he was going to stop complaining. You may want to check back in on that. George, where are you on this?
Well, listen, I agree with you. I think that we could sit here and dissect every play and say everyone deserves more calls, right? When you were playing and coaching, I'm sure you wanted more calls. That's just kind of the way this thing works. Right. But when we just came off this whole 2-minute report thing with Golden State and Cleveland, I think Kevin Durant made a good point, which is, and LeBron too for that matter, which is we're kind of scrutinizing these guys even a little too much. They're all human, and they're going to make some mistakes. You're going to miss some stuff, even with 3 referees. It's why we're experimenting in the D-League with 4 and 5 referees. But
do we need more calls? Do we
right,
really need
that's kind of my point. I almost feel like that hurts the game more if we're stopping play and getting to the line. He's leading the league in free throw attempts enough. Like, Russ, I love you, but come on, pump the brakes on this one.
You give Westbrook a pass? You think he's right?
I do give him a pass because I do think he's right to a certain extent, and I agree with George. He is leading the league in free throw attempts, so you can't complain too much.
Come on.
But we all know Russ. This is one of the fiery guys in this league. He plays with so much passion, and he loves the competition. He loves the game. So as a referee, you got to sometimes, hold your brakes as well because you do know who you're talking to.
Right.
This guy is very passionate and sometimes he's very emotional. So he's going to say some things just in the heat of the moment. And sometimes as a referee, you got to let that go. So you got to understand, as a referee, you get scouting reports too. So when Russell's out there, he's going to probably get a little heated over certain calls. And sometimes as a ref, like I said, you got to let it go. But Russ, you can't complain too much because you are leading the league. So just kind of,
Let's everybody just take it down
just like
a notch.
a lot of just all get along.
A lot of young
That's
refs
all.
in the league,
Just
by
keep
the
me all
way.
get along.
That could be the case too. A lot of younger
just
refs
don't know
in the
it.
league.
Yes,
They
no,
don't
they
know
want
it.
to assert themselves,
Right.
and I get that. But
Yeah.
we've all heard the curse words before. We don't have to get in our fainting couches. It's all good. All right, I do want to circle back and talk about Paul George. He had a long therapeutic session with the local media in Indianapolis. It was actually, guys, a little sad at one point. George said this is the most frustrated he can remember being. He even added, quote, "Maybe I'm just living in the past of how good we used to be." Yeah. Look,
Wow.
things have certainly changed in Indiana. This is a team that once upon a time, right? They were the real threat to LeBron James in the East. Now, they wouldn't even make the playoffs if the postseason started today. They've lost 4 straight. They're 15 and 18. But George is saying now he has decided he is going to change his attitude. He said, quote, "I've been caught up with officials, getting caught up with on-court stuff. I've lost sight of how fun this game is to me. I just have to approach it as being myself, enjoying the process, enjoying the grind." And Byron, reporters said they did see George noticeably goofing around in practice more yesterday, trying to live by his words there. Does this work? Is this going to work if he's
Well, you know what?
happy and he knows it?
Kudos to Paul for saying, I got to make a change.
Right.
The season is not going the way we expected it. I'm not playing the way I expect to play. It's been rough in Indiana at this particular point. So I got to try to change it up. That's great. Kudos to him for that. But you know what changes all that and makes it fun? Winning. Bottom line, winning. You want to have fun.
You can't
win.
fake it till you make it in the
you can't
NBA.
fake it. You got to go on the court. You got to produce. You guys got to come together and figure this thing out. And winning solves all that. There's winning and misery. That's it.
Pat Riley said that.
That's right.
I know where you
Winning
got that
and
from.
misery. That's it. And he was absolutely right.
Now here's the thing. I look at it this way. He played on those really good Indiana
great teams, yeah.
that had older veteran leader guys. David West isn't around anymore. All of a sudden, Paul George is the leader of that team. And that's a role he wasn't necessarily used to. He was just used to playing his game, not having to worry about dealing with other guys and dealing with personalities. And I think it's taken him about a year and a half to kind of figure out, hey, you know what? I don't have to stress over that stuff. If I play my game, I can lead by example and just kind of do it that way.
Yes, but I agree with Byron. And winning is really
Solves
the thing.
all
I think
that.
he's
Of course.
a great
Solves
leader.
all
I think
that.
he would be a great leader if they were winning. I think he would
Absolutely.
know exactly what he was doing. He's a fantastic player. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we will talk about a new basketball league. Ice Cube is launching for retired players. Byron, which is going to be awesome. But first, here's our distant replay
My
from this
game
date
back on.
in 2001, starring our own Tracy McGrady.
Hudson runs it down.
Tracy was really strong.
Oh, no. Who is that?
Stella Harrington.
Othello Harrington.
No.
This statue
Othello,
of
Georgetown.
Why was he jumping?
Patrick Ewing and Alonzo Mourning are shuddering somewhere.
Othello
like that
never
hang
blocked
on
a
the
shot in
rim.
his life. Why is he jumping?
Come on. Ice Cube launching a pro 3-on-3 league for retired NBA players, telling The Vertical, "I thought of this concept as a fan who got sick of seeing his heroes retire and not play anymore. A lot of these guys can still play once they retire, just not the back-to-backs or 4 games in 4 nights." Now, our teammates here at The Jump, Chauncey and Steven Jackson, they have already committed to playing in the league.
There you go, Byron. Grow the hair back. There you go.
You are the third member of
Y'all
that
funny.
team.
Y'all funny. Put my high top fade up there. Y'all funny.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. All
Yeah.
right. Before we wrap up, I do want to get to a report from our own Mark Stein. The coaching seat in Chicago, he says, is starting to heat up. Mark says the Bulls going 6-9 in December, compounded by missing the playoffs last season, has team officials, quote, increasingly assessing the coaching fit. You can take that as you will. Now let's note the Bulls have won their last 2 games, and Hoiberg has a pretty pricey contract too, which I imagine the team is not eager to eat, but I guess we'll have to watch that.
Yeah, I don't think Fred Hoiberg is an NBA coach. I think he's a good college coach. I think he can work in the front office. His players don't trust him. Noah didn't last year. Mirotic is having issues now. I don't see it.
Fred is sitting there right now going, I should have never left where was it?
Iowa State. Yeah, see what I'm
Should
saying?
have never left Iowa State.
I'm with you.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how he does. He's going to be a lot richer than before when he was in
For sure.
That's for
There we
sure.
go.
Can buy a bigger house there.
Secrets. Auburn player TJ Dunnins jumped into Georgia's team huddle last night, and they didn't seem to mind. Byron,
They brought him in. 2 dudes are putting their arm around him, talking about, come on in. Check out the play, my man.
I mean, just look.
Check out what we do.
Right? This
No,
is sweet.
no.
It's
Just
nice.
look to see who's on your
Togetherness,
squad.
Togetherness.
Come on. Yeah.
I mean, I think they knew it was a joke. And how much really is getting
No,
decided
they
there anyway?
didn't know.
All
Like I
right.
said, kids, stay in school.
Yeah.
Stay in school.
That's it for us
Keep your head on a
today.
swivel.
That's right.
Happy and safe New Year. Thank you
Always
to
see
our
where your man